Sign up at the end of this review to get my personal gear list. So you're looking for an acoustic guitar. You will undoubtedly run into a plethora of options and variables. In this video, I'll walk you through the 8 things you need to know so that you can make the most informed decision when buying your acoustic guitar. Starting with body style. This is one of the first variables you're going to run into when shopping for an acoustic guitar. Do I want a small body guitar? Do I want a medium? Do I want a large size guitar? Smaller body styles have less bass and a more focused tone. Larger body styles have more bass and a lot more volume to offer. Now, each brand has a small, medium, and large body style. For more information on body style, check out our video on how to choose your guitar size. Tone woods impact the sound of the guitar greatly. Between the top, back, and sides, we're looking at potentially 2, maybe 3 different species of wood. Now, tone woods shape the sound of the guitar. For example, if you have a top made of spruce, it's going to add clarity and articulation to the sound. If you have a top made of cedar, it's going to add some bass response and warm it up a little bit. A more porous wood will feature a warmer sound and maybe have a little bit more warmth in the bass, whereas a denser wood will reflect the tone more readily and be perceived as more articulate and have more of an edge to it. For more information on tone woods and their impact on the guitar's tone, please refer to our acoustic guitar guide. Neck profile and nut width are other variables you will need to consider when selecting an acoustic guitar. Depending on your playing style and your comfort level, certain neck profiles will feel great, whereas others might feel completely foreign to you. The same goes for nut width. A wider nut width is great for fingerstyle, whereas for strumming and playing basic chords, it might not be the best match. So try different neck profiles from vintage style to a more modern profile, and try different nut widths, 1 11/16, 1 3/4, 1 5/8 even. Bridge style and fingerboard material are 2 options that are often overlooked when considering an acoustic guitar. Let me explain why they are so important. Fingerboard material, you're going to run into probably ebony and rosewood. Both of these woods have, through the test of time, basically proved that they're great fingerboard woods, but they feel a little bit different. Ebony has a much smoother feel, great for bending notes, great for just overall comfort, and rosewood is a little bit more gritty. It has a little bit more resistance to bending notes and has a totally different feel under your left hand. I recommend trying out both materials. You will notice a difference in feel. Oftentimes, the same material used on the fingerboard will be the same material used on the bridge. So if you have a rosewood fingerboard, it will most likely be a rosewood bridge. Now, the material on the bridge isn't necessarily as important as the style of the bridge. You're going to deal with 2 basic styles. One's going to be a vintage style, which usually has the saddle cut through the entire bridge, or a more modern style, which usually has what they call a drop-in saddle or a trough cut saddle. Now, this is important because if you're planning on adding a pickup and you want to add an undersaddle pickup, the more modern style bridge will be a better fit. It'll hold the pickup in place better and you'll get better contact. The vintage style bridge is not a great match for an undersaddle pickup because you'll be able to see the ends and frankly they're kind of a pain in the butt to install. How does the guitar look? This seems like a very simple question and one that's obvious. However, it's one you need to ask yourself. Do you like the simple look or do you like the inlaid look? This is a question you need to consider because it's going to affect the price. If you like the simple look, chances are that guitar will be less expensive than something that has inlay and abalone all over it. It's not good or bad. It doesn't even affect the tone in some cases, but it will affect the price, and it's something you need to consider. You're buying an acoustic guitar because it sounds good acoustically, but you have to ask yourself the question, do I need a pickup? If you're plugging in or going to a gig and you plan on plugging in a lot, you're going to want to maybe look at a guitar that has a pre-installed pickup. Now, if you're just buying a guitar for personal enjoyment or maybe studio use, the pickup's not such an issue. But let me say this, pickups shouldn't be a deal breaker. You can always get a pickup added later on. First and foremost, buy an acoustic guitar because it sounds good, not plugged in. The tuning machines of an acoustic guitar are often overlooked and quite honestly underappreciated. If we really think about how much work those things do, they do quite a bit. So this is definitely an option you need to consider. So I'll give you some quick variations of tuners you will encounter and why you might pick one over the other. First and foremost, we're going to have a modern style tuner versus a vintage style tuner. Vintage style tuners are most commonly open gear, meaning if you look at the back of the headstock, you can see the gear of the tuner. On the modern end of the spectrum, we have closed gear tuners, which, looking at the back of the headstock, you won't see any gears at all. They're fully closed. Another thing you'll run into is gear ratio. This means how many times the actual tuner button needs to rotate so that the tuner stem itself rotates one full revolution. A common gear ratio is 14:1, meaning 14 turns of the tuner means the tuner stem rotates one time. The higher the gear ratio, the smoother the tuner. Believe it or not, acoustic guitars can be modified and can be tweaked. What's hanging on the showroom wall is a good example of 90% of what the guitar can offer. But as a guitar grows older, it's going to tonally change a little bit, and its setup and playability are going to change. The good thing to know is that these can be tweaked. You can get a guitar set up to have higher action, lower action, make it easier to fret, make it sound a little bit more articulate, make it sound a little bit more bassy. But when selecting an acoustic guitar, make sure that the guitar feels good. Make sure it frets easily. Make sure it doesn't buzz. If it does, it needs to be set up. If you like the sound of the guitar but don't like the way it plays, ask for it to be set up. A basic setup consists of 3 basic things: truss rod, which adjusts the relief or the bow in the neck, string height at the saddle, which impacts playability, and string height at the nut, which also impacts playability. When you have your guitar in for a basic setup, you can actually choose to upgrade the nut and saddle material. You can upgrade it to bone, tusk, or even fossilized ivory. These materials will affect the guitar's tone and affect how it reacts. If you want a brighter tone, bone or ivory are a great choice. If you want a more dull tone, or if you're having a pickup installed, tusk is a great option. Now you are armed with all you need to know to start shopping for an acoustic guitar. If you have any further questions or comments, please leave them below. And thanks a lot for watching. Good luck. Go to acousticletter.com now to view the complete acoustic guitar guide. Click the button to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos like this, plus guitar comparisons, demos, and our one-of-a-kind and limited run guitars from Gibson, Martin, and Taylor.